I'm Saturday hauling for you guys today, and I made a pit stop at Sephora yesterday and grabbed a few things there, and then I placed an online order at Ulta, and then I stopped at Ulta. I was browsing the Nars section in Sephora, and I had always wanted to love the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. It's like a concealer that a lot of people online love and talk about a lot, and I remember trying this some time back and the color just wasn't right for me. It was either too yellow or too dark, and so I was looking at them and I was just thinking about how I wished I loved that concealer because a lot of people do. And then I noticed there were some new shades, so I started swatching them, and this shade Affogato Light 1.25 looked like a really good match for me. It looked like it had a nice pink undertone. It looked like it would be brightening. And so this is what I have underneath my eyes today. And it's called the Nars Creamy Concealer, but this is definitely a lot kind of heavier, not quite as creamy as some of the other concealers that have come out on the market, like the Cover FX or the Makeup Forever. Although this does have, I feel like, more coverage than either of those two concealers, which at the moment, the new Makeup Forever and that Cover FX Power Play, those are my favorite concealers at the moment. This is not quite as creamy as those, but it has more coverage. And this shade really matches me well. It's spelled Affogato, 0.22 ounces of product in the tube. And even though it's heavier, I don't feel like it feels heavy underneath the eyes, or it doesn't feel drying either, although I've been really upping the ante with the moisturizers around my eye area lately because it's been so cold and dry. But for being a heavier, more full coverage concealer, I think that it looks really nice underneath the eye, so I can see kind of now. I feel like it was probably the shade is the reason why I hadn't loved it every time that I tried it. The shade just wasn't right for me, and this one suits me really good. And I've set it with the lavender powder from Fenty Beauty. This is like my current favorite under eye setting powder. I just think it looks so pretty. It's so finely milled. But let me go ahead and swatch this. So this is the light 1.25 right there from Nars. I'm going to swatch it next to the new Makeup Forever in number 20 just for kind of a shade reference, because I really love the new Makeup Forever concealer as well. And then I'll also swatch it next to the Cover FX Power Play in P Light 2, so you guys can kind of see the colors there. So there's Nars and Makeup Forever and Cover FX. And since I already have these concealers swatched in my hands, I'm going to go ahead and talk about these concealers as well. I purchased these at Ulta. My more local Ulta started carrying Colourpop products. And I had purchased this when it first launched, and the shade was just too light for me. So that's another one of those things where I didn't care for it because the color just wasn't right for me. So when I was in the store, I purchased two shades that seemed to have the most pink undertone to them. I got light number 12 and fair number 6, and I had been mixing them when I've been using them this past week. And this is just a really nice concealer. I think it has great coverage. I think it's buildable, and it looks really nice underneath the eyes. And it's only $6, which is pretty doggone good. So here's light 12. Put it over here. And then the other shade that I have is fair number 6. And when I've been wearing these, I have been mixing them. So out of all 5 of those, this fair number 6 shade from Colourpop is definitely the lightest one. But that Nars one's got such a nice tone to it. So let me mix these so you can kind of see what shade I get when I mix the two shades together. And those are from Colourpop, the No Filter Concealers. How much product is in each tube here? 0.176 ounces of product in the tube. And I think they're really pretty looking. It's got like a frosted plastic packaging. And then the last time that I was in Sephora, I had swatched this product and I didn't purchase it. And then yesterday I swatched it again and then I purchased it. This is the Fenty Beauty Stunna Lip Paint in the shade Unattached, which is a coral shade. Out of all the liquid lipsticks that I've tried, which I've tried a fair amount, but not like a huge extensive amount, mostly because I haven't really been a fan of liquid lipsticks because of the fact that they're so uncomfortable and drying on the lips. But out of all the ones that I've tried, this has by far been my favorite liquid lipstick formula. I think that it wears super, super well on the lips. I think I've eaten like some cheese puffs, drank water, everything, and it's still intact. This is what I have on my lips today. It's one of my favorite formulas of liquid lipsticks. I think that the packaging is stunning, and also the little applicator that you put the lipstick on with, it like hugs the outside of the lips like perfectly. I did put on Charlotte Tilbury's lip cheat in, Iconic Nude underneath this, and then I went over it with the lipstick just to kind of help those outer edges get really crisp. But the applicator on this is really phenomenal. I feel like this does pull more red on me. I went over it a very, very small amount with another lip product that I'm going to show you. Because I'm so fair, it does pull a little bit more red coral on me, and I was hoping more for like a brighter coral. And I can see how this is going to be a fabulous coral on a ton of different skin tones, but because I'm so pale, it kind of almost, it washes me out a little bit. So it was handy to go over it with this next product I'm going to show you to kind of just brighten it up a little bit so I didn't look so washed out. Either that or I need to wear some darker foundations and a lot more bronzer, and I think that'll kind of also help. But today I just did my typical Bare Minerals Blemish Rescue foundation. This applicator is just outstanding for a product like this. I only had to pull this out of the tube, and I didn't have to dip it back in to get enough product to do my entire lips. It was just enough product came out on this little wand to do my whole lip. So this is the shade, what did I say it was called? Unattached, right there. I was eyeballing that pink shade that came out too. I think it's called Unbutton. But that one too, it kind of pulls a little bit darker. And so I'm really hoping that she comes out with some lighter, brighter shades in this Stunna lip paint. Because again, I love the formula of this. I can actually wear a liquid lipstick for quite a few hours in this formula and not feel like annoyed by it. It feels really good on the lips. And that other lip product that I was talking about that I just dabbed over the top of this just to kind of brighten it up, this is from the Sephora brand. It's the Rouge Smooth Shine Lip Crayon in the shade number 3 Lucky Charm, and it comes in a packaging like this. And then here is your product. So dabbing that over the top brightened up the color, and it also gave a slight bit of glossiness to it. So if you see a little bit of a gloss factor, it's coming from this stick and not the lip paint. And I just kind of took it and just kind of went like this a little bit over it to kind of brighten it up. So you can see that this shade is a bit lighter than that one. And I've got this on with a tiny bit of this on my lips today. And I kind of wish that the unattached shade would have gone on more like this type of a shade just for my skin tone, because again it washes me out a bit. But should I dab just a little bit more of this on over the top of that that lipstick? These two products paired together actually look really nice. And then these next two products I just had to have. They're the new Fenty Kilowatt Freestyle highlighters that came out. They came out with the shade Water Brat, which is a pink type of a highlighter. Blush toppery or either mixed with a lighter highlighter is probably how I'm going to use this. But just swatched by itself, it just looks so pretty. I couldn't leave the store without it. But this is definitely going to be a blush topper or either mix it in with a lighter highlighter for my skin tone, because it's too deep to put on the top of my cheekbones to give a lifted highlight effect. But this is kind of, the formula is slightly reminiscent of the Maybelline Master Holographic highlighter that I love, but it's got a little bit more of a powder factor to it than this one. But it's another one of those products that looks really pretty when you really buff it into the skin. So this one is Water Brat. And I had almost purchased that gold one several times just because how pretty it is. And then I didn't know how I would be able to use it on the face. I would probably end up using it as an eyeshadow. But isn't that gorgeous? So there's 0.28 ounces of product in there. And that one is Water Brat right there. And the other shade she came out with is called Chills. And again, 0.28 ounces of product in there. And this one is like a sky blue shade, which I'm going to compare it to one of the duos that came out. I got a lot of like reference saying that those were dupes. This one is not as blue as that one, which I'm going to swatch them next to each other so you guys can see. This actually I can pull off great on my cheekbones. It does have that like baby blue shift to it, but I don't feel like it's too blue where it looks like out of hand. It looks really pretty on the cheeks. I've worn this quite a few times since I got it. When I was wearing it the other day, my mom was like, what highlighter you have on that? It's really pretty. And I was wearing this, which I was surprised, because usually when I wear like really blue or green makeup, she's like, I love blue and green makeup though, so I was surprised that she said that, because this does have a little bit of a blue hue to it, but that's how pretty it looked on top of the cheeks. So this is the shade Chills. And this one I can totally use as a highlighter. So it comes off, you see, kind of chunky, and then if we buff it into the skin, that's when both of these products look super, super gorgeous. And then the one that people were comparing it to is the Kilowatt Foil, and this is the duo with Sandcastle and Minted Mojito. And these came out last summer. So this is Minted Mojito right here. This has got more blue in it than the Chills highlighter. I can pull off Chills better than I can pull off this one. Grab a little more here. So you can see that there is more blue in the Minted Mojito than there is in Chills. Both really pretty products though, but I can wear this one easier than that one. Then I saw on Instagram that Makeup Forever was coming out with a new eyeshadow palette. And when I was in Sephora, I was visiting with the manager and asking her about some of the new products, like the Urban Decay, the newest Naked palette that they're coming out with. And she said that she couldn't sell it to me till such and such a date. So then I asked her about, I said, what about Makeup Forever? They're coming out with a new palette too. She said, ooh, we have that in the drawer and I think I can sell that one to you. So I purchased it, and it's the Let's Gold eyeshadow palette from Makeup Forever. This is what the packaging looks like. There are 18 eyeshadows in here that are 0.03 ounces per shade. Some people were asking me if the pan size of this was the same size as the Starlet palette that came out, and these are smaller, quite a bit smaller than the shades that were in the Starlet palette. So you have got an entire row on the top that are all matte eyeshadows. Then the center shade right here, I think are like that shimmer. Each row is a finish. So this is matte, this is like a shimmer, and then the bottom one is like a shimmer infused with micro glitters. And this is the eyeshadow palette that I have on my eyes today. I love Makeup Forever matte, so that top row is all the winner for me. I've used all of those shades and they're really great. They blend, they're pigmented, they're just really, really good matte eyeshadows. I like a few of Makeup Forever's other finishes as well. And these are pretty shades, but they don't have quite the oomph that I was thinking I was going to get from them. So like this shade right here, Precious, I thought I was going to get this real metallic golden green, and it just falls a little flat. And I've got the shade Ingenious with a little bit of Smelted on the lid right there, but that shine that you're seeing is actually a little pigment. It's the Starlet powder in number 12, Iridescent Pearl, also from Makeup Forever. I just used my finger and tapped that over the top just because I felt like it was a little flat. I wanted a little bit more shine on the lid. Now that's not to say that this isn't a good palette. It's going to be a more wearable, toned down version in terms of the shimmer and glitter shades that are in here. The mattes are smoking awesome, but the shiny shades are a little bit more subdued, again, than a lot of those shimmery shades that are out there on the market today that I'm particularly used to, that I like on the lid. And let's give you some swatches. Again, Makeup Forever mattes are just fantastic. And I found this inside the Sephora inside JCPenney's. And these two. Look at how smooth those are though. Are those not some smooth matte eyeshadows? And then this center row. There is a big, thick kind of guide that comes in the box too. I'll show that to you guys here in a minute. See, they're shiny and they're pretty, but they're not them intense metallics that have been on the market nowadays. These two. And this bottom row. I actually think that I have this shade in the full size, and I feel like my full size version is better than this one. And then these last two. let's see. So there are all of the shades in the Let's Gold eyeshadow palette from Makeup Forever. So this is the box right here, and then inside of there, this is kind of neat, there's a plastic deal with some look kind of cards in there, and it looks like it's showing you how to lay this over the palette. It's got like little holes in there to show you exactly which looks you're supposed to use. So you're supposed to place this, oh for funny, you're supposed to place this on the palette like that, and it's going to show you what shades you're supposed to use. They should have put the whole part on the bottom so that you could kind of go like this with it, but that's the intention right there. And there are 3 cards like that that come inside the box. It's a nice touch though. And I think it's a nice palette. Makeup Forever makes some really nice eyeshadows, but just my personal preference is a super shiny lid. I can't seem to get over it. A shiny, super shiny, glittery, metallic eyelid is what I've been after nowadays, and some of the shades in that palette just don't have that oomph to it. But I can see where a lot of people don't like that extra shine and stuff like that, where they would like eyeshadows like that. This next palette I'm super excited about. It's from MAC, and it's the Hyper Real Glow palette. They came out with 2 of these some months ago, and I just knew the shades were too dark for me. Maybe it's even been over a year ago, but I knew the shades were too dark, and a lot of people had liked the formulation of this, so I was excited to see they finally came out with a version that's light enough for my skin tone. So it's called Get Lit, and there are 3 shades in here that are 0.15 ounces per shade, which is a decent amount of product for a palette. And this is the palette that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. I've got mostly this golden kind of, or this champagne type of shade as a highlighter on my cheekbones. And I dipped into a little bit of these kind of for on top of the lip in some areas just to kind of test them out. But the formulation of this is super pretty. I really buffed it into the skin, and it just looks, I think it looks really, really nice. And all 3 of the shades in here are light enough for my skin tone. They're called Like a Dream, which this one has got a slight, ever so slight blue shift to it. It's not overbearing or anything like that, but it does have a cooler blue type of shift to it. And then you've got Get Lit, which is pink, pinker sheen, but it's also light enough for my skin tone. And then Gleam Sheen, which is a champagne type of a color. There's a sleeve on there. That's what I was reading the names off of. But I really like this. And I had wanted to try them other highlighters. I just knew that they weren't going to be light enough for me. So I was so glad when I seen that they were doing some more versions of this palette. Yeah, aren't those pretty though? Do a little bit of blending in here. And I mostly have on this shade on my skin today. I just think it's so pretty. So that is the Hyper Real Glow palette from MAC, and it's the one called Get Lit. And then in my last video, quite a few people said that my eyebrows looked green, and I've been using the Urban Decay Brow Blade in the shade Taupe Trap. It's the one with a pencil on one end and then an ink stain on the other, which this ink stain on this side is, the formula is so thin, and I really, really love this product when I first got it. I still really like the product, but when I use the pencil side with the ink stain side, it does have a hint of green to it. So if you were just thinking it was your monitor, it wasn't. My eyebrows did have a hint of green to them, which is really sad because I really love this product from Urban Decay. I can get away with using the ink stain portion if I use a different pencil or powder than the one that comes in here, but when I use them together, it does pull a bit green. So because I like the ink stain portion so much, I saw that MAC kind of makes a similar product to that, and I think the other end on that one is a powder. So I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe order 1 or 2 of those because I just love how thin and easy to use this product is, but I don't really care for that hint of green. I can make it work though, and I have still been using that. But that product kind of inspired me to get this next product, and it's from Physicians Formula. It's the Brow Last Long Wearing Brow Gel. And it comes in a packaging like this. I was kind of confused how this was going to work. I was like, do you pull the top off and then put the spoolie in and then kind of comb it through, or like what, you know? But then when I had used it today, you twist it and then there's like a brush with a bunch of product that comes out. And I had gotten most of the product off on the sides of the opening of the tube, and the brush on here is kind of stiff. And so I lightly just wanted to get this coating on the eyebrows, And I really like this product. At first I thought it might be like too much or too pigmented, but it also has a thinner type of consistency to it, and it just coated the hairs really nice. And this is what I have through my eyebrows today. I didn't even have to use the spoolie to comb it out, just the brush after I wiped off the excess on the outside. The brush was enough to really kind of coat my eyebrows. And if this doesn't break my eyebrows out, I'm going to really love this product. There's only 2 shades available. This one is the shade medium brown, and then there's one that's darker than this as well. But it does kind of feel a little bit stiff. It makes your eyebrows feel stiffer, almost like the Anastasia brow gel does. I don't mind it. I'm just hoping that it doesn't break my eyebrows out because I really like the way my eyebrows look with this today too. I'm trying to find some products that are really, really thin in consistency that don't break my eyebrows out. Like I said, I love the that ink stain portion of that Urban Decay pen. I love that. I love how thin it is and how it defined the brows, but it didn't look like you had a bunch of product in there. But the hint of green isn't good, right? And then I also saw these from Maybelline, and they're the Lasting Drama Matte Lacquer Liners, kind of taking tips from that liner that Tarte came out with some time ago that came in the squeezy tube. I purchased that and ended up taking it back because it was just so stiff of a formula. I was hoping it would be kind of more fluid and really easy to work with, and it just wasn't. But I thought that I could use these on the waterline. They're called Long Lasting, you know, Matte Lacquer Liner, and they come with a little brush. And the colors on both of these are really pretty. And I had went to put on Teal Envy today. The color in the tube on Teal is not that color. It's much more of a green, kind of like the Guerlain one that I have on. The blue is a little bit more true to the outside packaging, but this was extremely stiff. Like I had to squeeze the tube very, very hard on both of these to get any product out. And then when I started getting some on the brush, it's like it was starting to dry immediately and crumble. I had attempted to get some on the waterline, and it almost liquefied when it hit my eye and crumbled at the same time when I was putting it, and it was a mess. It was so bad so that I had to wipe it off and just call it because I was like, I can't. These are just not that good. I was hoping for the best, but they are a stiff product there from Maybelline. This one is called Wild Azure. I can't imagine trying to use this product to like do a wing or something on top because there's just like no fluidity at all to this. Another super exciting product, I got the Nars Exposed Cheek Palette. There are 6 baked gelée. I know some of you guys really are like, you can't go one video without saying baked gelée, and I probably can't because I like to buy like every baked gelée product that I come across. So there's 0.1 ounce of each pan that's in here, and there's 6 of them, so you're getting about 0.6 ounces of product in here. The packaging on this is stunning. It's got a wave to it. It's made to kind of look like water, and I think it does that. So this is the outside packaging. Like, how pretty, right? And then here are the 6 products inside. On my cheeks today, I have got this shade on for a blush, and I have got this shade on for a bronzer. The highlight shade in this palette is too deep for me to use as a lifting highlight on my skin. It kind of just blends in with my skin tone. So I'll use it probably as like a mixing if I want a little bit more, or like to lighten up maybe these berry shades because there really isn't a lighter pink in here. That's kind of how I'll use that. But let me go ahead and swatch these for you. Again, these are that baked gelée texture that looks so flattering on the skin. This shade right here, if Nars made this in a single bronzer size, I would purchase it because this has got a red burnt undertone to it that looks really flattering on my pink skin. I really like that bronze shade in here. It's so pretty. See, it's got like that red factor to it. These bottom shades right here, and I'm going to go ahead and compare it to the one that came out around the holidays because there are some shades in here that are pretty, almost like, I'd say almost dupeable. So those are those ones. And then here is the exposed palette next to the Hot Tryst palette right here. The Hot Tryst palette highlighter is light enough for my skin tone. I use this palette a ton. Did I mention it in my faves video? If I didn't, this should have been in my 2018 favorites video because I absolutely adore this. It's got the same type of baked gelée formula in it. But as you can see, if you look at those berry tones, there are some very similar shades. So let me go ahead and swatch. The shades that I feel are very comparable to the ones in the other palette are these 4 right here. So I'm going to swatch them just in case you were wondering. if they were kind of the same shades or not. So let's swatch them. Well, it's got a little bit more of a burnt factor to it. And the highlighter is pretty similar right there. So you can see that there's some similar type of tones in this palette to the other one. Even though there are some similar tones in there, I still love this. I think this is just absolutely wonderful. When you're using a baked jelly product like that, you're gonna wanna use a little bit stiffer brush to pick up that product. So something like those, like I mentioned in my last video, those really soft Wayne Goss synthetics, those on a product like that are very difficult for me to get product on the brush to pick up. So you're gonna wanna use something that's a little bit more firm. I hate to use the word scratchy, but something that it has a little bit more of a scratchy factor to it so that it can kind of get that product on the bristles. And I have heard some people say that they didn't like those like baked jelly products like that because they weren't pigmented or they couldn't get them to show up on their skin and stuff like that. If you're one of those people, try a stiffer brush to kind of grind it into that product to get it to pick up, because oftentimes I feel like that's the biggest problem. If you're using a really soft synthetic to try to pick that up, that brush just isn't going to grab onto that product. It's going to kind of glaze over it. So maybe give that a try. These next products are from Essence again, and these are the Melted Chrome eyeshadows. There's 0.07 ounces of product in here. These are so pretty. I think they were $3 or $4.99 at Ulta. Really stunning little eyeshadows. They're so shiny and they look so pretty on the lids. My mom bought, I think she also got the shade number 1 Zinc About You, and she was wearing it the other day and I was looking at her and I was like, what do you have that eyeshadow on your eyes? Because I hadn't worn them yet. And she said, yeah, it's that little eyeshadow I bought. And it was so pretty. Such great little single eyeshadows from the drugstore. So this one is number 2, Ironic. This is what the packaging looks like. I think there were like 6 shades available. These are the 2 that I purchased. They're super, super smooth. But look at how pretty that is. It's so foiled and so metallic. How beautiful. I think they were $5. That is just, I was wishing that they had even more shades than this. And the other one is number 1, Zinc About You. And this one's kind of has a rose kind of taupe feel to it. Again, look at that. So pretty. Essence really does have some hidden gems, man. And then next up, Muse Beauty Pro has a brush line called Isom, and I have several of their brushes, both that I purchased and that they have sent to me, and they recently came out with 2 new brushes to their range, and it's the X52 and the G34. The G34 is an all-rounded, kind of a tapered blending brush. This is going to be a good one to put down transition type of colors, and then the X52 is kind of a blush brush, but you could also use it for highlighter or if you want precision bronzing. The best description that I have for Isom brushes are their workhorses. They're there to do the job, and they do the job really well. They're not going to be as soft as something like your Wayne Goss or your Sonia G, but they're not synthetics. These ones aren't. They do have some synthetics in their range, but they are a little bit more of a firmer bristled brush, which is going to buff out and blend product quicker than something that's a little bit softer. So it's a brush like this that you're going to want to use on a product like this. Like this brush here, I'll show you. I'll try to pick up. Let's pick up what's going to show up on these bristles. This here is going to pick up a baked jelly product really well. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, I'm trying to show black on there, but you can kind of see it. It's going to pick up that baked jelly product very, very well, and it's going to buff it into the skin really, really nicely because it does have a bit more firm bristle to it. So the G34 is a new one, and the X52 is a new one. And they also sent me over these other 2 brushes. This is the X51, which I didn't have either of these ones. And then the S33. And this brush here I've been using every day since I got it. It's just a really good one to start blending out my crease shade, or somebody said in a comment in one of my videos that I do my eyeshadow backwards. Like, because I don't like do that transition thing first. I kind of build it from downwards up just because it's quicker. I don't need to blend as much and I don't have to use as much product. It's just faster for me and I get the most intensity out of the way that I do it. So that's how I do it. But this little S33 brush, this is such a nice little brush for blending out. It does a really, really good job. Let me compare it size-wise to the new one, which is called the G34. Both of them are circular all the way around. There's no pinch in either one of these brushes. So this is the S33 and this is the G34. So that's all for my haul today. I did purchase quite a few items from the Too Faced and Erica Jane collection. I haven't seen like much on this at all, probably because the names of the products. But if you want me to do a video on this, like I was thinking of doing a designated video just on these products. Let me know. I was thinking of doing a review and demoing the products like with a look. So let me know if that's something that you would like to see. I'm still going to film that video right there with my face palette, top shelf face palettes collections video too, and an empties video. Ooh, I got a lot of work to do. But I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.